Yesterday in Florida, someone that was there with him is Representative Greg Steube, Republican from Florida, member of the House Judiciary Committee. Representative, thank you so much for being here this morning. You were there. The president in Florida, a lot of seniors there talking about how he wants to deliver free COVID-19 vaccines to that group. What's your take on how quickly that can happen?
Well, I think it's going to happen quickly, and I think it's great that he's focusing on seniors. My district's the second most elderly district in the country. We have a lot of elderly in Florida. The president made a comment and made sure everybody knew that he was a senior citizen and was in that class. He talked about protecting seniors with pre-existing conditions. He talked about what he's doing for telemedicine, and he talked about lowering the cost of prescription drugs, which is very important to that population, not just here in Florida, but across the country.
Congressman, if I might, I would like to pivot back to the story this week about social media, in particular Twitter, suppressing the New York Post story when it comes to Hunter Biden. It extended beyond just the New York Post. It ended up including as well the GOP Judiciary Committee, which linked to the story, and therefore has then had that account suppressed by Twitter as well. Many are now asking, should social media companies like Twitter and Facebook continue to receive government protection in the form of Section 230, which protects them from liability? Should they continue to receive that kind of protection from the government? In your estimation, should they?
Absolutely not. I'm working on a bill that would provide for a private cause of action against them for violating these type of issues and censoring conservative speech. Look, they get the protection under Section 230 simply because they're supposed to not be editing or publishing or censoring information. It's supposed to be a free platform for the exchange of free ideas under the First Amendment, and they are clearly violating that. They are clearly suppressing conservative speech. They obviously are suppressing articles that are hurting the Biden campaign. They shut down the press secretary of the President of the United States Twitter account. If that's not suppressing speech, I don't know what is. And if that's the way that they're going to act, they should lose that liability protection they have under the law.
Yeah, you know, Congressman, we're now seeing that the RNC has filed an FEC complaint against Twitter. But what's interesting that's emerged is also the political affiliations of donors and donations. Take a look at this. Twitter political donations, 98.9%. That's $347,270 to Democrats, 1.01%. That's just $3,556 to Republicans. And you see Facebook here as well. You have, 91.68% to Democrats, 8.32% to Republicans. So there's an obvious bias here. The question is, why is that impacting? I mean, we've seen this in academia, right? We've seen it in Hollywood when the vast majority of people believe it. We see it in journalism school when people emerge. But now this is a little bit different, Congressman, is it not? Because these are the people who are disseminating our news and deciding what people see and what they don't see. And that bears an even greater risk, in my opinion. What do you say to these donation numbers?
Well, and these are people that are hiding in a room that aren't out in the public space, suppressing what you're putting out on the public space and not allowing for the free information and expression of ideas. I mean, that just is evidence, exhibit number A, as it relates to showing the American people how biased these big tech companies are. I think a lot of Americans realize that they were biased in some way, but this shows overwhelmingly that they support Democrats and liberal causes, and that they're going to do everything they can to quietly behind the scenes suppress conservatives, conservative talk, and articles that are damaging to the Biden campaign and to Democrats.
Yeah, Congressman, that's why we shouldn't call them the mainstream media, because there's nothing mainstream about them at all.
Absolutely.
They're all left-wingers. When you look at the inside newsletters, political newsletters these days, they're all predicting doom and gloom for the president. What are you seeing on the ground in Florida as it compares to 2016?
I've been elected in Florida for 10 years, and I have never seen the type of groundswell of support that you see for our president. I drove from Sarasota. My district encompasses 9 counties. I drove from Sarasota down to Fort Myers yesterday for the event with the president. You see Trump flags everywhere. On the river as you went over into Fort Myers, you saw boats with Trump flags. There was a ton of people welcoming him that they knew they couldn't even get into the event, standing outside welcoming him. You didn't see a single Biden supporter, a single Democrat waving a sign against him. Just a groundswell support. And you see it in the new registration numbers in Florida. For the first time, Republicans are getting very close to the registration of Democrats in the state of Florida. We've registered 129,000 Republicans in Florida in just this last year leading up to the election. Those are great numbers for Republicans in the state of Florida. Those are great numbers for the president and bodes well here in November.
It's one of the most interesting questions over the next 3 weeks. Is there a silent majority out there ready to turn this election, or are the polls, as opposed to 2016, right in 2020? We'll be watching.
There definitely is a silent majority here in Florida.
All right. Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, good to see you guys.